Most men over 50 make three silent mistakes during masturbation that slowly destroy their erection strength, energy levels, and confidence, and the worst part is they think it's just aging when in reality it's something they can reverse starting today. I'm Dr. Natalia Parker, and I'm going to explain this with clarity. Listen carefully because what I'm about to share contradicts almost everything you've been told about male sexuality after 50. Masturbation isn't the enemy. Actually, from a purely medical standpoint, it's beneficial for stress relief, testosterone regulation, prostate health, and even cardiovascular function. But here's what almost no one tells you. How you do it matters exponentially more than how often you do it, especially once you cross 50. And this is where most men unknowingly sabotage themselves. They notice something's off. The sensation isn't as intense. The erection isn't as firm. There's this lingering tiredness afterward, sometimes even frustration or emptiness. What do? They blame age. They think, well, I'm not 25 anymore. But age isn't the real culprit here. The real problem is three specific habits most men repeat over and over without realizing these exact habits are draining their masculine energy and resetting their potential. Think of it like this. Imagine you're maintaining an engine, but every single time you're using the wrong oil. The engine runs, sure, but internally everything's degrading. That's exactly what's happening here. And if you think you already know everything about this topic, trust me, what I'm about to reveal goes deeper than what friends discuss or what popular internet videos explain, because this isn't just about pleasure. It's about your health, your hormones, your blood vessels, and ultimately, your sense of strength. So watch until the end because I'm not just going to show you the three mistakes that leave you drained and energy depleted, I'm going to explain how simple adjustments can bring back that confidence you thought was gone forever. Want to know why this happens in the male body after 50? How your nerves, hormones, and daily habits play into this? Excellent. Let's understand why these changes occur and why masturbation, which should help, sometimes starts working against you. After 50, there's a natural decline in testosterone, the hormone responsible not just for libido but also for mood, energy, focus, and even how you feel when you wake up in the morning. But hormones aren't the only issue. With age, circulation deteriorates, blood vessels lose elasticity, and nerve endings become less sensitive. All of this affects erection quality and pleasure. But here's the critical part. It's not aging itself that makes you lethargic. It's how you respond to it. Let me explain what's really happening inside your body. Your blood vessels, the highways that carry blood to create and maintain erections, they start accumulating microscopic damage over decades. Not necessarily from disease, but from life itself. Stress, diet, sitting too long, even the way you breathe during moments of arousal. These vessels need pressure and flow to stay flexible, like a garden hose that cracks when you don't use it. But when you masturbate incorrectly, you're not exercising these vessels properly, you're actually training them to respond weakly. And your nervous system, that intricate network of signals running from your brain to your genitals, it's also changing. The myelin sheath, the protective coating around nerve fibers, it thins slightly with age. This means signals travel slower, sensations feel duller, and the connection between mental arousal and physical response weakens. But most men don't know this is happening, so they keep doing what they've always done, expecting the same results. When a man masturbates incorrectly, especially in mature age, he can overload his nervous system. Imagine constantly pressing the accelerator without letting the engine cool down. Your body responds with a dopamine spike, the pleasure hormone, followed by a sharp crash. This dopamine collapse can lead to fatigue, apathy, and even temporary loss of sensitivity. Many men over 50 notice that although everything works physically, there's no desire. This is the hidden cycle, gradually suppressing masculine energy. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Your brain doesn't just process pleasure, it creates patterns. Every time you reach orgasm in a certain way, under certain conditions, your brain creates a neural pathway. Think of it like walking through snow. The first time, it's difficult. The 100th time, there's a clear path. Now imagine you've been walking the wrong path for years. Your brain has carved out a highway to quick, intense, screen-based arousal. and the natural pathway to slow, sensation-based pleasure has become overgrown. Let's add another detail: the habit of speed. In your youth, you could do it quickly, thoughtlessly, just to release tension. But in adulthood, your body requires a different approach. Fast stimulation and frequent pornography overload the brain's visual and neural centers, making real arousal more difficult. Your brain starts reacting to the screen, not to intimacy. This isn't just psychological dependence, it's actual physiological restructuring directly connected to your vascular and hormonal systems. And there's something else most men don't realize. Every orgasm triggers a cascade of hormones. Immediately after, your body releases prolactin, which creates that feeling of satisfaction, but also fatigue. In young men, prolactin levels drop quickly. After 50, they linger longer. This means if you're masturbating too frequently, you're keeping yourself in a constant state of elevated prolactin, which directly suppresses testosterone production. It's like trying to drive with the parking brake half engaged. Your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, also play a massive role. When you masturbate with guilt, in a rush, or while anxious, cortisol floods your system. And cortisol is testosterone's enemy. They compete for the same receptors. High cortisol means low testosterone availability, which means weaker erections, less desire, and that persistent feeling of being drained rather than satisfied. But here's the good news, and this is what I want you to hold on to. If you understand the biology of this process, you can reverse everything. The right approach can not only restore strength and sensitivity, but also improve sleep, restore energy levels, and even strengthen your heart. Your blood vessels can regain flexibility. Your nerve pathways can be retrained. Your hormonal balance can be restored. All you need is a bit of awareness and understanding of what exactly needs to change. Want to know how to do this step by step with simple recommendations that actually work? Excellent. Now let's move to the most important part, the solution. There won't be complicated medical terminology here. Everything's simple, logical, and based on how your body actually functions after 50. The first thing you need to understand is that masturbation can be a healthy habit if it helps restore rather than deplete energy. And the key to this is rhythm, awareness, and control. Most men do it automatically, quickly to relieve tension, but after 50, your body reacts differently. What used to relieve stress might now only increase it. That's why the first rule is slow down. When you begin arousal, don't rush. Your brain and blood vessels need time to activate. Imagine warming up an engine in cold weather. If you immediately hit the accelerator, the engine roars but doesn't move forward. You need gradual heat, gradual pressure, gradual response. Start with breathing. This isn't some spiritual nonsense. This is pure physiology. Take a deep breath through your nose, hold it for 3 seconds, exhale slowly through your mouth. Feel how tension releases from your body. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the one responsible for relaxation, erection, and pleasure. Your heart rate slows, blood pressure stabilizes, and blood flow redirects to your pelvic region. This is the foundation. Without proper breathing, you're fighting your own body. Now, about tactile sensations. Men often grip too hard, thinking more intense equals better, but this damages nerve endings, especially with frequent repetition. Think about this logically. Your hand can create far more pressure than any natural stimulus. When you constantly use maximum pressure, you're desensitizing yourself to normal touch. It's like listening to music at maximum volume every day. Eventually, normal volume feels like silence. Try reducing hand pressure by half. Yes, literally half of what you normally use. Change rhythm and angle. Use your fingertips sometimes instead of your whole hand. Alternate between light and moderate touch. This helps activate new neural pathways and recover sensitivity that may have diminished over the years. Your body has thousands of nerve endings, but if you only stimulate them the same way every time, most remain dormant. And here's something most men never consider. Temperature matters. Cold hands create tension, your body contracts. Warm hands encourage blood flow and relaxation. Before you start, warm your hands under hot water for 30 seconds or rub them together briskly. This small detail can completely change the quality of your arousal. Ideally, Masturbation should feel more like a slow awakening of the body rather than a discharge. You should feel energy building gradually, spreading through your pelvis, up your spine, into your chest. Most men rush to orgasm, but the real benefit comes from the arousal phase itself. That's when blood vessels expand, when testosterone circulates more effectively, when your prostate gets healthy stimulation. Try this. During arousal, pause when you reach about 70% of maximum excitement. Breathe deeply, let the sensation stabilize, then continue. Do this 3 or 4 times before completion. This technique, called edging in some circles, isn't about prolonging pleasure for its own sake. It's about training your nervous system to maintain arousal at lower intensity levels, which directly translates to stronger, more sustainable erections during actual intimacy. Next, attention and focus. Forget pornography. When you get aroused in front of a screen, you're training your brain to react to images, not sensations. It's like training your muscles to lift weights in your imagination without actual movement. Real arousal requires body focus, breathing, and sensations. Your brain can't tell the difference between fantasy and reality in terms of neural pathway formation, so every time you use visual stimulation, you're literally rewiring yourself to need visual stimulation. Try closing your eyes, concentrate on sensations in your lower abdomen, chest, breathing. Feel the weight of your body against the bed or chair. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. This way you redirect energy inward, not outward. You're teaching your brain to find pleasure in sensation itself, not in external stimulation. This might feel strange at first, even boring, because your brain is addicted to the dopamine spike from visual content. But persist for 2 weeks, and you'll notice a dramatic difference in sensitivity and pleasure quality. There's also an optimal time, and this is based purely on hormonal science. The best moment is morning when testosterone levels peak, specifically between 6 and 8 a.m. for most men. Your testosterone can be 20 to 30% higher in the morning than in the evening, or after light exercise when blood flow is already elevated and endorphins are circulating. At night, your body's tired, vessels are relaxed, and you're simply depleting remaining energy. In the morning, however, you leverage hormonal activity peak and reinforce the effect throughout the day. And if you work night shifts or have an irregular schedule, the principle remains the same. Masturbate during your personal morning, whenever that is, after you've rested but before you've depleted your daily energy. Your body operates on circadian rhythms, and working with those rhythms rather than against them makes an enormous difference. Now, about recovery, and this is where most men completely miss the point. After orgasm, don't immediately jump up and continue with tasks. Your body just went through a significant physiological event. Your heart rate spiked, your blood pressure rose, hormones flooded your system. Give your body 5 to 10 minutes to rebalance. Just lie there, breathe deeply, don't get distracted by your phone or thoughts of what you need to do next. This is when blood returns to the heart, pressure stabilizes, and hormones begin producing again. Your parasympathetic nervous system needs this time to restore baseline function. If you immediately stand up and start moving, you're forcing your cardiovascular system to redirect blood flow before it's ready, which can leave you feeling dizzy, tired, or irritable. If you allow this rest, you'll feel a wave of calm and strength, not exhaustion. You'll notice your thinking becomes clearer, your mood stabilizes, and you actually have more energy than before you started. Want to amplify the effect? Here's a simple trick based on sports medicine. Before masturbating, drink a glass of water with a pinch of sea salt and lemon. This improves electrolyte balance, supports blood vessels, and helps your body recover. Your blood is about 90% water, and proper hydration ensures optimal blood flow and hormone transport. The sea salt provides sodium and trace minerals that maintain electrical signaling in your nervous system. The lemon provides vitamin C, which supports blood vessel integrity. And afterward, gentle stretching or a few deep squats. This activates circulation in the lower body and strengthens pelvic muscles responsible for erection. Your pelvic floor muscles, the ones that contract during orgasm, they're like any other muscle. Use them consciously and they get stronger. Ignore them and they atrophy. 30 seconds of pelvic floor engagement after orgasm can significantly improve erectile strength over time. Squeeze as if you're stopping urine flow, hold for 5 seconds, release. Repeat 5 times. Simple, but remarkably effective. Remember, the key isn't quantity, but quality. Better one conscious, restorative session per week than three exhausting ones in a day. You're not losing strength, you're learning to control it. You're training your body to operate at its peak rather than at its limit. Want to know what mistakes most men make that cancel out all these efforts? Excellent. Now let's talk about what most often prevents men from maintaining results, mistakes that seem harmless at first glance but precisely drain energy and confidence. And these aren't rare mistakes, these are things the majority of men over 50 do regularly without realizing the cumulative damage they're causing. Mistake number one is excessive frequency. Many men after 50 think, if everything works, then I can do it daily. But here's the catch. With age, your body needs more recovery time. This isn't opinion, this is measurable biochemistry. After each orgasm, dopamine and testosterone levels temporarily drop while prolactin levels increase. Prolactin is the hormone responsible for feelings of tiredness and apathy, and it can remain elevated for up to 48 hours in men over 50. When you don't let your body recover, you fall into a hormonal pit. You're essentially running a hormonal deficit. The result? Less desire, weak erection, distraction, irritability, even mild depression. Some men interpret this as low testosterone and start seeking medication, when the real problem is they're not giving their natural testosterone production time to rebound. Don't chase quantity, prioritize quality and awareness. Here's a practical guideline. If you're over 50 and in good health, 2 to 3 times per week is optimal for most men. More than that, and you're likely depleting rather than maintaining. Less than that, and you're not getting the prostate health and vascular benefits. But listen to your body. If you feel tired, unmotivated, or notice weaker morning erections, reduce frequency for a week and observe the difference. Mistake number 2 is using excessively intense stimulation. Men often think, the harder the pressure, the better the result. But this actually leads to decreased sensitivity and even micro-injuries to blood vessels and nerve endings. Over time, you need increasingly more effort to achieve the same sensations. It's like constantly turning up music volume. Eventually, your hearing simply dulls. But there's more to this than just nerve damage. When you use excessive pressure, you're also potentially damaging the delicate erectile tissue inside the penis. This tissue, called the corpus cavernosum, is basically a sponge of blood vessels. Compress it too aggressively too often, and you can create scar tissue, which reduces flexibility and blood capacity. This is a gradual process. You won't notice it immediately, but after years of aggressive handling, you might find erections are weaker or less sustainable. Reduce intensity, add variety, and watch how your body starts responding again. Experiment with different grips, different speeds, different positions. Your body has an incredible capacity to adapt and relearn, but you have to give it varied stimuli. Think of it like exercise. If you only ever did one exercise, you'd develop strength in that specific pattern, but weakness everywhere else. Sexual responsiveness works the same way. Mistake number 3 is psychological tension and feelings of guilt. Yes, you heard right. Many men still perceive masturbation as something shameful or juvenile, a leftover from religious or cultural programming. Because of this, they do everything halfway, rushed and nervously. And during that time, the brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone. And if cortisol defeats testosterone, erection weakens. Your body can't be relaxed and aroused simultaneously. It's physiologically impossible. This is actually one of the most damaging patterns because it creates a feedback loop. You feel guilty, so you rush. You rush, so the experience is unsatisfying. It's unsatisfying, so you feel worse about it. The guilt increases and the cycle repeats. Over time, this can actually condition you to associate sexual arousal with stress, which is catastrophic for erectile function. So eliminate guilt and replace it with respect for your body. It's not a sin or weakness. It's part of male health when done with awareness and the right attitude. You're not doing something shameful. You're maintaining your vascular health, regulating your hormones, and reducing prostate inflammation. Frame it correctly in your mind, and the physiological response improves dramatically. And another important point, medications. Many men over 50 take drugs for blood pressure, blood sugar, or cholesterol. Some of these reduce testosterone levels or worsen blood flow. Beta blockers, commonly prescribed for blood pressure, can significantly reduce erectile function. Some antidepressants delay orgasm or reduce libido. Even over-the-counter antihistamines can affect arousal. If you notice erection has weakened after starting medication, discuss it with your doctor. Sometimes adjusting dosage or switching medication is enough to restore normal function. Never stop medication without medical guidance, but also don't assume sexual side effects are just something you have to live with. Often there are alternatives that don't compromise your quality of life. Don't be that guy who thinks, I'm fine, it's just age. It's not age, it's habits. And when you change habits, the body changes. Your body at 50, 60, even 70 is still capable of strong erections, intense pleasure, and satisfying sexual function. What it can't do is perform optimally with poor habits. Write in the comments where you're watching from because I see men from all over dealing with exactly this, and it helps me understand what content serves you best. So let's summarize. You've learned that masturbation itself isn't an enemy of male health. The problem isn't the action, but the approach. After 50, your body becomes more sensitive to how you manage energy, hormones, and attention. If you do everything automatically, rushed, and without awareness, you deplete your resource instead of replenishing it. But if you slow down, breathe, eliminate unnecessary tension, and stop depending on screens, you not only preserve potency, but regain control over body and mind. Remember the main thing, not speed but quality of sensations, not quantity but recovery. Your body is like an old but reliable engine. It works wonderfully if given proper maintenance. One conscious session can be more beneficial than dozens of mechanical attempts. And if you start applying what you learned today, within weeks you'll notice you sleep better, wake with more energy, and feel younger, not just in words, but in facts. Your morning erections will return stronger. Your daytime energy will stabilize. Your mood will improve. These aren't vague promises. These are predictable outcomes when you align your habits with your biology. Now your challenge. Try for the next 7 days to change your approach. No screens, no rush, with breathing and attention to sensations. Observe how your body reacts, how much energy remains afterward. This is your personal experiment in masculine restoration. If this content helps you, if it makes sense, and you want more of this kind of honest medical information that almost nobody explains clearly, subscribe to the channel because here we talk about what mainstream sources avoid. And coming up soon, we'll discuss how to naturally increase testosterone without pills and restore powerful morning erections. Take care of yourself, respect your body, and remember, a man's strength doesn't disappear with age. It simply waits for you to learn how to control it.